How many of you like money? Okay, all the hands went up. Again, I'm Director of Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity here at Hubble. Been here for about 4 years. Got my bachelor's degree in operations research from the Military Academy at West Point. Part of my career, obviously, as a military officer, I spent some time in Korea, and one of my first jobs was as a platoon leader. And that was the first time that I actually got to lead people, manage people. I was 23 years old, second lieutenant in the U.S. Army, and I'm leading 50 to 60 soldiers in a live zone in Korea. And so just the imagine of being young and leading folks and being responsible for them, truly responsible for their livelihood, was a very important job for me. I continued throughout my career in the military and a couple more jobs. Once I left the military, I then went to work for Michelin North America. Started off as an industrial engineer, continued in a couple of other jobs, but one of the key jobs for me was as a supply chain engineering manager. And what that did for me was really help me to understand what it is that I really wanted to do, who I wanted to be. So I've been an engineer, had been supply chain. Then all of a sudden I realized that my value that I can add to an organization is in human resources. So I made a transition into human resources, and one of my just most magnificent jobs I had was as an HR director at a manufacturing site of 2,000 people. And it was just phenomenal for me to get a chance to do something different, but also do something that I really had a passion for. So I always tell people, you can find something that you're good at and that you're passionate about, you're in a good place. And so that's been much of my career. And 4 years ago, I had the opportunity to step away from Michelin and come to work from Hubble. And it has been a wonderful place for me where my values match the culture of the organization. And so I think it's important as we talk about what are things that are important for you, that you understand how what you do, you need to make sure that your personal values always align with the organization that you're working with. Anybody got part-time jobs right now? Okay. And just roundabout, what's kind of the ballpark figure that you get paid per hour? $10. 10 an hour, 12 an hour. If you put that in terms of a full year, that's roughly probably $22,000, $24,000 a year. How many of you would like to make a lot more money? Okay, now every hand should be going up. Okay, all right. And so that's what it was like for me growing up. I wanted to make money. I didn't come from money, but I wanted to learn how to make money. So some of you, I think somebody said they were interested in supply chain, somebody's interested in operations, somebody else said, engineering? Okay, so just as an idea, what you see on the screen is here at Hubble, these are the entry-level roles or functions that we have in our organization. You see at the bottom, operations, you see engineering. In green is an HR programs that's dedicated for students in different functions, and so on and so forth. Those are all the percentage of different roles that we have at Hubble. Now you see that little chart at the top right? Let me be very clear, that is not exactly what Hubble pays. What this is called is a North American College and Employers. This is a survey that they do with many companies to say, how much are you paying your engineers at entry level once they come out of school? 78, almost 79,000 is a lot more than 22, 25,000, right? Would y'all like to kind of make that kind of money as a 23-year-old? Kind of interesting, right? So the idea is just to help you understand where you start off at. And so just because the engineers make more doesn't mean that the other roles in marketing or customer service aren't as important. They just pay a little bit different. So as you're thinking about what you want to do in your career, what type of roles you want to have, it's a good information to talk with your school counselors and everybody to think about what type of career paths you may want to have. Now, I want to show you in the next slide, if I look at our organization, all of the salary positions, most of the folks are in operations and then engineering. Now you heard all three of us, me, Greg, and Terry, all say that we started off as engineers. But today, through all the transition that we've talked to you about, you see that we're in different roles now. Greg is in operations. Terry is in a sales role. I'm in human resources. So the point simply is, no matter where you start, if you have transferable skills, those transferable skills can help you grow into more opportunities throughout your career. So never settle on just being in one place. There we go. All right, we're gonna wrap up real quick by just talking about some career advice. And you've kind of heard us talk about this, but we each want to just share a couple things. I want to highlight 3 quick things here. One is about build professional habits early. You don't show up on day one as a top performer, but what you do show up with is great habits that help you to be a top performer. How many of you show up to work on time every time? That's what I'm talking about, right? Those are habits that I, as an employer, are going to look for. Are you doing the right things? All right? Do you show up on time? Do you meet deadlines? Do you do what you say you're going to do? That's very important. The next thing I want you to know is that learn about how work gets done. It is not just what the answer is. Work gets done, and I see several of you writing these down, and so I'll make sure that we get that shared with you. And I appreciate the fact that so many of you are showing interest by writing that down. Practice working in teams. I think y'all are sitting at tables because you do project work together. That's perfect. That's how to learn to work with teams. And it kind of leads into my other point, which is learn to work with people with different mindsets. Not everyone thinks like you, and that's okay. You need to work with people who work differently from you that may have different experiences. Those things are important. So I know that this young man right here, he's going to learn to work with all the folks at his table. And everyone's going to think different, act different, but it's important to learn how to work together with them. Because what you're doing in school right now, and this is the last thing I'll say, what you're doing in school right now, individual talent shows through. It's about what you do as an individual. When you come to work at a company, it ain't about you as an individual. It's about you as teams and how you work well together.
How do you handle big decisions that can not only change your life, but others as well?
I think a big part of that is just, the choices you make every day and thinking about people around you and how that impacts those around you. And as you, in the context of leadership, all of us on the phone have big responsibilities. So every decision I make, good or bad, has a direct impact on 10,000 employees that I try to make this, I don't always get it right, but I try to make decisions with that frame in mind. So not just looking at what's good for and so I think that you can apply those principles in many different dimensions of life.